And just making sure that I'm live before I get started. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I'm kind of coming on for a surprise live. I usually do mine on Fridays, but surprise, here I am on Saturday. Let's see. Oh, awesome. All right, ready to go. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Josie Warren. I am the autoimmune expert, and welcome to my channel. Now, today we have a video. This is for everyone, not just people with chronic illness or autoimmune disease, but those of you out there who consider yourselves healthy, meaning you eat right and you exercise, but still, as we've learned, are at risk for metabolic disease and autoimmune and chronic illness. How do you prevent these diseases from even happening in the first place? So before we get started with this video, for those new listeners out there, I want you to get to know me just a little bit better. And I want you to know that, I am an autoimmune expert and chronic illness expert because I lived with them for so many years of my life. My first autoimmune disease was rheumatoid arthritis, happened 6 months after my dad passed away when I was 15 years old. And from there, as I went through life and continued to stumble through the challenges, I continued to get more and more autoimmune diseases and chronic illnesses as the emotional stressors I went through continued to compound and accumulate inside my body. So by the time I was 28, I had not only had rheumatoid arthritis, I had MS. I had Hashimoto's, I had lupus, I had anxiety, depression, ADD, an eating disorder, the list, Raynaud's, eczema, severe food allergies, the list goes on and on. I got so sick by the time I was 28, I was unable to be a licensed therapist anymore and spent so many years looking into alternative healing techniques as well as Western medicine, was eating super clean, only eating 5 foods, was taking tons of supplements, and I continued to get more conditions, which led me to the awakening that clearly what I was doing wasn't working. So what was the answer? A practitioner led me to where I work, a new life center, and here we permanently heal chronic illness and autoimmune disease by getting to the true root cause, which is our internal emotional state, how we feel about ourselves. I took their program, resolved my unhealthy internal emotional state in about 3 months. All of my conditions were permanently healed. 10 years later, I'm on no supplements. I take no food diets. I'm on no medication. Haven't had to go to a specialist in over 9 years. I don't have my conditions anymore, and that's what I teach here. Permanent healing of autoimmune and chronic illness, and also for those who want to prevent these diseases, how do we gain control and be in the driver's seat of the longevity of our health and well-being? And so the topic today, the title is called New Year's, because it's just around the corner, how to create a healthy life in 2026. Now, how to create a healthy life in 2026, the topic of today will actually be the very solution to the last 2 videos I did, which are, the links are in the description below. My last video was on the stressors of Christmas and why that causes us to get a lot of flare-ups. And what Christmas does is it causes us, especially as women, to reflect on our life. It's a forced reflection that shows the emptiness, the lost feeling we have inside, the depression, the anxiety, the fear of life that we live with all of the time, that Christmas exposes. So today, we're going to learn why creating a healthy life is actually the solution to filling that void and emptiness inside of us. And it will be the solution to feel good about ourselves again. It's also the solution to my recent video on metabolic health, the new fad in medicine, where we learned in this video that even people who are fit and eat right and eat healthy are still at risk for metabolic diseases like diabetes and also other chronic illnesses and autoimmune diseases. So today we're also going to learn why creating a healthy life is how we eliminate the risk of autoimmune diseases, chronic illnesses, and metabolic diseases, and be in the driver's seat and be in control of our health in now and into the future. So I want you to know that everything we teach, everything I teach here is based in emotional medicine. And we here at A New Life Center are pioneering emotional medicine. We've been doing this for 18 years. For 18 years, we've been permanently healing people like myself with a whole multitude of chronic illnesses and autoimmune diseases because my mentor, our founder, David Cope, discovered that the true root cause of all autoimmune and chronic illness is actually our internal emotional state. And when a person switches from an unhealthy internal emotional state to a healthy internal emotional state, that person's body regains homeostasis and heals and self-repairs itself all on its own without the need for any kind of biohacking or supplements, medications or superfoods or mind-body interventions like, acupuncture or yoga or meditation. So what we teach here, we are the experts on health and healing and also the experts in knowing how to use the human body and the way it was designed to reactivate its ability to heal ourselves or again to maintain health. And the way to be healthy and create a healthy life in 2026, how do we do that? Well, the way we create a healthy life, and having a healthy life is the key to being healthy, is that we create a life, this is the secret, that we want to live in. We create a life we want to live in. That's how we create a healthy life. Now, we need to go into two concepts here because there's two camps as individuals, as humans we can live in. In one camp, there is no way that we can have a healthy life and thus we can't be healthy. In the other camp, we inherently and naturally create a healthy life and thus are physically healthy as well. Let's go with the first camp. This is the camp that many of us are living in. And this is the camp that unknowingly we're unable to create a healthy life. And this is called camp victim. Now, anybody who comes into our program, myself included, if you got an illness or disease, we've unknowingly been living in camp victim without a doubt. But even those that haven't created one yet, it's a very prevalent camp that we unknowingly live in. And camp victim is unknowingly feeling that life is happening to us. That throughout our life that we're really not at a deep inherent level in the driver's seat. In camp victim, I am a victim to the things that have happened to me in my life. I blame, even if I don't want to admit it, my past, my parents, the relationships I had with my parents or lack thereof, the unhealthy romantic relationships that I've had. I blame where I grew up or where I came from or going to college or not going to college. I blame where I am in my life for all the things that I feel have happened to me. We blame the losses that we've been through. We blame what we might label the traumas that we've been through for why I am where I am and why I can't move forward or be who I think I should be. This is called camp victim. And a lot of us, I would say, are living in camp victim. And in camp victim, it's a very powerless place to live because I can't create a healthy life or a life I want to live in because I've unknowingly given my power to do so away to the people in my life, to my past, and to my circumstances. And while I think that they're the ones that are holding me back, unknowingly, the real truth in camp victim is I am the one who is holding me back, right? From living from that disempowered perspective and thinking that my life gets determined and shaped by others in my environment, okay? So in camp victim, we are out of control. We don't have control over the future of our health. We continue to be at risk for illness and disease, and it's also the surefire track to one day getting chronic illness and autoimmune disease. And I know this because I lived in camp victim solidly all the way up until I came here. But if you would ask me when I was sick, if I was in camp victim, I would have said no. But now I can see absolutely I sure was. I blamed everything and everyone for why I was where I was. Now, The other camp, this is what we're going to really be focusing on today, is the camp that when in Camp Victim, I didn't even know this camp existed or was a possibility. And this camp is called Camp Take Responsibility. Camp Take Responsibility. And in Camp Take Responsibility, it's inherent that we are healthy and we create a healthy life. It is it's just an effect, I would say, of living in Camp Take Responsibility. And so Camp Take Responsibility is the opposite of Camp Victim. In Camp Take Responsibility, I'm choosing a different perspective of my life. I go through all the same things a person in Camp Victim goes through: the losses, the grief, the hardships, the pain, the challenges with our family members, the issues with our kids, etc., with our partners and our husbands. But in Camp Take Responsibility, I choose to look at life and the challenges as opportunities to grow and learn. I choose to want to have a healthy life and be engaged in the life that I have. I put things in my life to look forward to. I have hobbies, I have interests, and I take care of myself. And what we learned in that metabolic health video is that truly taking care of ourselves means we take care of our emotional state. We take care of our emotional state. We do the things that make us feel good about who we are. And from this place, we're in the driver's seat. From this place, life isn't happening to me. I'm actually in control of this car and where I'm going in my life. We feel good internally and emotionally, and this is emotional medicine here. And when I feel good internally, I am healthy. I am healthy physically and emotionally. And by proxy, I have a healthy life. So it goes without saying, if you're out there and you want to be in control of your health and well-being, we must live in Camp Take Responsibility. Healthy people live in Camp Take Responsibility. And they have 3 secrets we have found, 3 critical factors that they do that truly determine their health and well-being. And that these 3 critical factors are how we create a healthy life and also how we're healthy. So the first critical factor for how to create a healthy life is people in Camp Take Responsibility. They create a life they want to live in, aka they are happy. People in Camp Take Responsibility, they don't feel like their life is lacking anything, that they look around their life and they assess it and they truly feel like they have what they need. And with all the challenges and the unique aspects and the ups and downs, in their heart they know that they have the perfect life for them. Another way of understanding that is that these individuals, they follow God's plan for them. They trust that God has created the perfect life with the perfect challenges to grow and to learn, specifically crafted for them, and they trust in it and they go forth out into the life that God has planned for them with trust, with thoughtfulness and with care, and with appreciation for what God has put into their path to grow and to learn and to become stronger. So this is a critical factor, creating a life we want to live in and embracing that of having a healthy life. And what this also looks like in real time is that these individuals, they're not in Camp Victim. Camp Victim, we just kind of basically put ourselves on pause and life is happening to us. We're just waiting for the stressors and the challenges to define and craft and shape our life. In Camp Take Responsibility, these individuals are proactive. What they do is they look out ahead in the future and they schedule and plan things that they want to do in their lives. They look ahead. Let's say they like to camp. They look ahead and they plan that year of camping out ahead of time. They plan the trips. They plan the events. They put things in their life that they actually want to do, and it creates a life that they enjoy and they have things that they look forward to. So critical step number 2 of creating a healthy life in Camp Take Responsibility is that individuals in Camp Take Responsibility, they look at the challenges and issues in life as opportunities to grow and to learn. So what this looks like is these individuals, they actually deal with the stressors in life. They deal with the grief. They face the challenges that they have. They don't hide from them. They don't run through them. They don't suppress them and just forge forward. They embrace them head on, and they look at what happens in life and say, okay, how can I learn from this? Again, trusting in God's plan that God only puts things in our path that he knows that we can handle, right? And that's what I have to keep coming back to, but that we have to know from this place that nothing that happens is nothing that I can't handle. So how can I learn from this? Why did this happen in my life? And what was the learning and the growth for me? And what's really important to note is that they deal with the grief and they deal with the losses in their life. And just to put it out here, grief and loss, right? Losing a loved one, or grief can be other things such as moving, children leaving the nest, etc., divorce, for instance. These are huge contributing factors, if they're not dealt with, to the development of autoimmune diseases, of chronic illnesses, and metabolic diseases. People in Camp Take Responsibility, they deal with these. Whereas people in Camp Victim, and again, I lived most of my life in Camp Victim, what happens in Camp Victim is we don't deal with our losses. We actually hold on to the grief and loss in our life and wear it as a badge of honor. Wear that pain right here, really feeling like that grief is and the pain is how we remember our loved ones. And we hold on to it and carry our grief as it accumulates through our life. No wonder people in Camp Victim, right, from this place, we develop chronic illnesses and autoimmune diseases, and we're so susceptible. I mean, how emotionally weighed down are we when we continue to hold on to the grief and the loss? Again, I know this from my own experience, having developed so many autoimmune diseases and illnesses because I held on to grief for so many years. Whereas people in Camp Take Responsibility, they also see grief and loss. They choose to have a healthy perspective of it. They don't take it as personal. They realize that grief and loss is actually a normal part of the human experience. It happens to everyone. And again, it is part of God's plan in life. So they embrace the challenge of grief and loss. They look at it as an opportunity to grow and to learn. And they choose to not hold on to the pain because they don't want to hold on. It's not healthy for them, and they know that. So they choose to let go of the pain to move forward in life with the warm and loving memories of their loved ones, and they embrace grief and loss as a normal part of the human experience. Now, the third critical factor that people in Camp Take Responsibility do naturally that creates a healthy life is that they parent themselves. They parent themselves. And parenting ourselves is doing the things we know we need to do even when we don't want to do them, and especially when we don't want to do them. And we do them to feel good about ourselves. And I always say parenting is really who am I in the dark? It's the small things I do to care for myself that are just for me, that when no one else is watching. And examples of parenting ourselves are getting up to our alarm when it goes off instead of pressing snooze. It's making sure all the dishes are put away out of the sink every night before I go to bed. It's coming in from work, or coming in the door in the evening and not just throwing my jacket down or throwing my shoes to the side, but taking my jacket and putting it on the hanger, putting it away, taking my shoes and taking that thoughtful little step to put them away. It's for especially the moms, stay-at-home moms out there, it is getting up every morning and taking a shower and getting ready every single morning, right? And these are just some examples of parenting, but these are the things, these small acts that we do in the dark that show us that we're important, that we care about ourselves, that we are somebody worth taking care of. As you can imagine, this makes me feel good internally when I parent myself. And this is people in camp take responsibility, naturally parent themselves. They want to be in control and in the driver's seat. They want to feel good. They want to care for themselves. Whereas individuals in camp victim, we don't parent ourselves. You know, what we do in the dark is a mess. I might do everything that looks right when people see it, or I might do things if I get something out of it, if I get praise or if I get a bigger paycheck. But the little things to care for myself that I think don't matter, we don't do them. And what happens? We don't feel good about ourselves, and it creates an unhealthy internal emotional state. So again, these three critical factors that we've talked about today. Number one, creating a life you want to live in. Number two, looking at the challenges and issues in life as opportunities to grow and learn. And number three, parenting ourselves. This is the secret here for people in camp take responsibility. This is how we as individuals learn to feel good within ourselves. This is how we fill up that emptiness and void that we carry through life, that makes us doubt who we are, that makes us want a different life, that makes us feel bad about ourselves, that makes us wish that we had done something different in the past. And this is also how we embrace the grief and the loss and the reality of life and not get overwhelmed by the challenges and the stressors. And most importantly, this is also how we keep a healthy internal emotional state, so we don't have to worry about getting metabolic disease or being at risk for autoimmune and chronic illness down the road. So for those of you, like I was, you're watching this and you're saying, hey, Josie, these are great steps. I already have a chronic illness. I already have an autoimmune disease or have a metabolic disease. Well, these three critical steps are how you create a healthy internal emotional state and go from an unhealthy to a healthy internal emotional state and go from camp victim to camp take responsibility. And how do you do that? How do you make this shift for yourself? Well, take our program. That's what I teach. This is what I had to do. We can't really do it on our own. If we're really sick, then we need someone to guide us. And that's what I teach, an educational program. It's a 3-month, very simple step-by-step process, and it is the steps to be healthy. Okay? And it doesn't include any diets or any supplements or any medication or any kind of mind-body interventions or therapy. This is really learning, okay? How do I live in camp, take responsibility, and take back control, live a healthy life, and be healthy by creating a healthy internal emotional state. But for those of you listening and you're out there and you likely have some health anxiety, you are doing the things your doctor has told you, you're eating right, you're getting sleep, you're exercising, and you want to be proactive and prevent a future of illness, of disease, of metabolic disease, and you want to grasp and keep your health and longevity in your hands, well, follow these 3 steps that I'm teaching and move from camp victim to camp take responsibility. And by living in camp take responsibility and wanting to be in the driver's seat, in control of your life, creating a life that you look forward to, embracing the challenges and parenting yourself, your body will stay in homeostasis because you'll have a healthy internal emotional state. And it is the secret. You don't have to worry about a future of pills and supplements. You don't have to be researching the newest biohacking procedures or longevity and anti-aging medicine or metabolic health. This is the secret. It's a healthy internal emotional state, and it's coming from those 3 steps that I taught today. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining me today. A new year always brings a new beginning, and that's what I want this video to be about. That, hey, you might have had a hard 2025. I had some really hard years, and every year has ups and downs, but know that 2026 is a new year. In 2026, you can actually look forward and plan a new experience of your life, and it comes from Again, embracing these 3 steps and living in camp, take responsibility. And if you're out there and you or a loved one, you have an autoimmune disease, a chronic illness, or maybe both like I had, and you're ready to permanently heal. I've talked about how hard the holidays are, the highest time of flare-ups. You're tired of it. You're tired of the supplements, the new diagnoses, the flare-ups, the differing medications and all the blood work and the lab testing, and you just want to be permanently healthy and know that your body has the full capacity to do that naturally. Well, take our course. We have 2 programs. We have the 13-week online self-guided educational program called the Autoimmune Healing Program, and we have that same program online self-guided for chronic illnesses, the Chronic Illness Healing Program. Both of these are the step-by-step process to really put into action what I taught today. It will take you from camp victim to camp take responsibility, take you from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic nervous system, and reactivate your body's natural capacity to heal and self-repair again. I work with all kinds of illnesses, very rare ones too, and we find they all have the same root cause. It's just our emotional stress. You too can be healthy. If I can do it, you can too. And the way to apply for that is to apply for a complimentary course consultation with me. I want to make sure that you'd be a good fit and that the program would be successful for you. The link to apply for a consultation with me is in the description below. And if you're not ready to take that step, make sure you check out my 101 course on autoimmune and chronic illness. In this course, you're going to learn the secrets to chronic illness and autoimmune that your doctors don't tell you. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining me for this surprise live on Saturday. I look forward to seeing you next time. Before I get off, I'm going to hop over to the comments section. All right. Well, thanks, everyone, and take care. I'll see you next time.